All right, everybody, welcome to the Transform Text to Powerful Face assignment, or vice versa. It's a weird name, but it describes what we're doing. We're going to take a photo like this of Taylor Swift using Photoshop. We're going to manipulate it to bring in the lyrics from one of her songs from a word cloud to cover her face, tell a little bit of a different story. So, to get started in this project, we need to go to the internet and we're going to go ahead and find a photo of a celebrity or musician that you would like to um, use for this assignment. I would suggest using a musician. You're going to be creating a word cloud, and when you do a musician, you can use the lyrics from one of their songs for your word cloud. It'll save you a lot of time and energy trying to figure out what to put in that word cloud. So I'm going to stick with Taylor Swift. Let's go ahead and just do a Google search. Go to images, and then in here, always when you're working in Photoshop, when possible, use your tools to find a high resolution photo. So I'm going to go to tool size, select a large image, and then I'll find one that has just a strong facial shot. We want to, for this particular assignment, find a photo that has a good face to put that text onto. So we're going to use this image right here. I'm going to right click it, hit save image as, hit Taylor and save that, and then open it up in Photoshop. Let's go to Photoshop. I'm going to go to File, Open. I'm going to find the Taylor photo, open it up, and we are ready to start working. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this, and usually I would suggest using the shortcut Control J to duplicate, but in this instance we're going to right click and duplicate from our drop down menu because we want to open this duplication into a new canvas or workspace. So we're going to go to our destination, click on New, and rename this Displacement. Hit OK. And you'll see that we all now have a new tab called Displacement. It's the same photo, and this is we're going to use for our displacement filter at the very end of the assignment. So to prepare it, we need to add a blur to the photo. So you're going to go up to your filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. Now you can see that we've added a nice subtle blur. We want to keep it subtle, so I recommend doing a 4 pixel blur. Hit OK, and then we're going to save this as a Photoshop file. Just name it Displacement, hit save. I've already got one named Displacement, so I'm going to replace it with this new one. And now we're going back to our original photo. So first things first, let's unlock this so we can start to manipulate the photo. And we're going to go up to Image, Adjustment, and we're going to make this black and white. So drop down until you find the black and white. This is the fastest way to desaturate it. Hit OK. And just like that, we got a nice black and white image. But we want to take this background out from this image. So to do this, we're going to mirror what we did in the mirror assignment, or in the hair selection assignment. We're going to use our quick selection tool. You might have your magic wand tool on top. Just make sure the quick selection is selected. And we're just going to get a basic outline of Taylor Swift. As you can see, as I went to do that, I kind of got a lot of this side over here. So I'm going to hold down Alt and then click to push that selection back in. That's good enough for now. We can clean it up using our Refine Edge tool. So go ahead and hit Select and Mask. Just get something that looks like this. And then as you can see, I've cut off a bit of her head. So I'm going to go back to my selection tool, use my brackets to shrink it down. I'm just going to kind of bring that back in. Oh, way too much. Again, Alt, push that back out. Now I'm going to use the Refine Edge tool to just pick up some of these edges a little bit. Same here, just pick up the edges, make it look real nice. Get those hairs. Don't spend too much time on this, but just kind of clean it up a little. And then when you're done, you're going to go to your output settings, go to selection, and do new layer with layer mask. Hit OK, and you'll see we got Taylor Swift cut out pretty well. We've got some funkiness in there. We'll clean that up later. But to start our next step, we want to add a nice black background behind Taylor. To do that, we're going to add a new layer. So you come down here to your menu, click on this folded piece of paper. It's going to create a new layer. And just like we did when we removed the tree a few assignments ago, we're going to use our marquee tool. We're just going to click and drag and select this whole area. And we're going to add a fill. So go up to File, or Edit, drop down to Fill. And instead of having content aware, which we used before, we're just going to have the content be black. And hit OK. And that has made this whole layer black, but you notice Taylor disappeared. We need to find her again. To do that, we're just going to grab this layer and we're going to drop it down beneath the Taylor Swift image. That's going to put it behind it, and now we've got a black background. I'm going to hit Control D to deselect. So now the next step, we want to create a nice little vignette. So it's just kind of a floating head. You'll notice in this photo, we've got a nice little floating head right there. We want to create that same feel. So we're going to click on our layer mask that we've created here. We're going to use our brush like we did in the face swap. And we want to make sure the black's our front foreground color, because the black's going to take away this part of Taylor Swift's photo. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to go around the bottom of Taylor and clean up these edges a bit. I brought in a little too much when I was doing that refined edge. I'm going to clean that up, make it look pretty nice. And so now we just have that nice floating head. We are now ready to add in our word cloud. So this is all ready to go. So we're going to add a word cloud using what's called wordclouds.com. Let's go back to the internet, and then you can either Google word clouds or just type in directly wordclouds.com. It's going to bring up a menu like this. So a word cloud is you're going to put in a bunch of text, and what a word cloud will do, it'll look at all the text you put in, and whatever shows up the most, it's going to put as the biggest words in your word cloud. So for Taylor, we need to do one of her songs. So I'm going to do the Shake It Off lyrics. And I'm just going to copy these. So I'm going to highlight them and copy. Come into word cloud. Click on this wizard menu, type or paste text. I'm just going to paste the text right on in there and hit apply. And I hit close. Now you see we've got a word cloud, but it still looks really funky. Let's go ahead and change the shape. I think a square or rectangle is going to be your best option. It's the cleanest option, so I'm going to have a nice little rectangle shape. The colors are dreadful. You can change the font if you like. I'm going to keep it with this font. But the colors, this is important you pay attention, because we want to make it so there's an alpha channel behind this, so there's no background color. So we're going to click on the background color, and on this bar we're just going to drop it all the way down so the alpha channel is showing. If we hit apply, you'll see we now have an alpha channel behind there. And we're also going to change this text so it's just white. So we're just going to garbage all these colors of text, garbage them all, and then select one and click on the white. So we've chosen to have our cloud words all just be white. You hit apply, and you've got your word cloud ready to go. You can mess a little bit around with this to get different sizes, but I'm just going to roll with this. You're going to go up to File, and we want to save this, and we want to keep the alpha channel behind it. So to do that, we save it as a PNG. Enter, I'm just going to leave it as word cloud, and it will download it to your computer. So we're downloaded. Go back to Photoshop, and you could open this in Photoshop like we've done in the past, and then click and drag it over. I think it's easier just to use your File Explorer, find in your downloads your word cloud, and then just click and drag it on top, and your word cloud will paste right on top of there. And now this is a part where it gets a little bit tedious. Well, first, actually, let's place this where we want it. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller than that. That's good. I'm going to place it right here for now. And let's add a quick drop shadow to really make those words pop. Effects menu, drop shadow. You can play with these. I would say the more subtle, the better. You don't want to do anything crazy with your drop shadow. Hit OK, and we've got it starting to pop now. But as you can see here, we've got text all over the place. So just like in the background removal and filters assignment, we are going to duplicate by using our move tool this word cloud. So I'm going to hold down Alt till I get my little shadow behind my mouse, click on the text, drag it over, and drop it somewhere else. I want to keep this looking random, so I'm going to do that again. Hold down Alt. I'm holding down the wrong button. There we go. Alt, click, drag, Alt, click, drag, and start just to make this look a little bit random. You'll want to be careful if you go hold down Alt and you miss your text and you click and drag, you're going to duplicate your actual image. So I'm going to just Control Z. That can happen a lot. Make sure you're clicking on the text as you're duplicating. So I'm going to do one more, but on this one, I'm going to turn it a little bit. I'm going to hold down Shift. Oh, undo that. So when you go to turn this, if you hold Control T, you can transform it. Hold down Shift, and that's going to lock in your dimensions, help you just turn it a nice 90 degrees. So it's going up and down. Hit Enter to place it, and then you can just click and move this to the side or anywhere you want to keep it random. So I'll put this one here, and I'm going to do that same thing. I'm just going to hold down Alt, duplicate. I'm going to keep doing this until she's pretty well covered, so give me a second. As I do this, place one more of these over here, and then I'm going to do the same thing where I'm actually going to Control T, transform, and I'm going to rotate this one so it's going the opposite way. Oh, it's not quite 90 degrees. So we want that to be 90 degrees, perfect. Enter to place it, and then move it where we want. Make it look really nice and fancy. Down Alt, and let's place this one right here. This is, oh, look at that, I grab Tailor again, so hold down Alt. And you're going to do this till she's pretty much covered. You can also play around with shrinking some of these. Let's place that, yep. So I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. Control T, shrink it. And, oh, got to be careful where you're grabbing. And placing the smaller one so it fits in the cracks where I kind of missed being able to put something. Put one of these text boxes. All right, so she's pretty much covered. That looks good for now. The next thing we're going to do is, we're getting close, I promise, but we want to group all of these together, all these word clouds that we've made. So go ahead and click the top one, hold down Shift and scroll down to the bottom word cloud, and then click. It's going to select all of our word clouds and hit Control G. It's going to group them all nice in one little folder. And this is the part where it gets a little bit confusing, so pay attention to these next couple steps. You're going to want to make your text invisible by clicking the eye. And then you're going to click on the picture. Make sure you don't have the layer mask selected, but the picture. And are you ready for this? You're going to hold down Control, Alt, Shift, E. And when you do that, you will have created a composite or yeah, composite layer. I can never pronounce that. And this layer we are now going to drag up above our group. Be careful that you don't drag it onto the group because it will just go into that folder. Composite layer, not composite, composite layer. Sorry about that. And then we're going to change, once this is on the top, the view from normal to a linear burn. You'll see that Taylor just got it very dark and mysterious. And once we do that, if you make your text visible now, you'll notice that the text is now showing up behind her. We've created that cool effect. And we are very close to finishing. There's just a couple more steps. At the beginning, we made this displacement layer. We want to use this displacement layer to kind of mold the words so they fit around her face a little better. So we want to manipulate this group of text, but as you can see, if I go to filter with that selected, it won't let me do anything. So we need to turn this into a smart object. We're going to do that by right-clicking the group and selecting Convert to Smart Object. And now we have this as a smart object. Now we can go up to Filter, go to Distort, Displace. Just leave all these as default. It should be 10 by 10, stretch to fit, and repeat edge pixels. And you're going to hit OK. When you hit OK, find your displacement, PSD, hit Open. And when you do that, you'll see that now there's a lot of curves in this. These words are now shaped more to Taylor's face. So we're pretty much there. You could turn this in and it'd be fine. But if you really want to go above and beyond, the last thing you can do is play with the levels and the brightness. So to do that, select the group or the top layer. We'll start with the group. Come down here to this little half circle. If you click it, you're going to get a lot of options. Click brightness and contrast. And then you can play up here with your brightness levels. And this is going to either take away or add brightness to your words. And it's going to create, it's just going to make it look a little bit better or worse depending on what you do. You can play with that until you get it how you like. The same thing with this layer. We can change the brightness of the layer and change it so she's a little bit brighter, she's a little bit darker, depending on the look and feel you want. So go ahead, we'll do that so she shows up a little bit more. And then you are done. You've completed the assignment. You've learned how to transform a face to powerful text. You'll go ahead and file, save that as a PSD and a JPEG, upload them to Canvas, and you will be good to go for today, or for this assignment at least. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and hopefully this wasn't too confusing. This is definitely one of the harder assignments we'll do for Photoshop, but we're using a lot of the tools and skills we've learned throughout the semester so far. So good work, and go ahead and submit that assignment.